Having pets is important for the environment. Let me explain why. Today we're going to be talking about environmental reasons you should consider having a pet. You see, animals in general are considered a threat to the environment. And even though it might seem like we can do more harm than good when it comes to our impact on Mother Earth, it turns out that we can actually help out by simply taking care of our animal companions. First, let's talk about the obvious benefit of having a pet. We all know that if you have a dog, you can walk your dog and that gets you outside exercising. And your dog gets to do their business outside rather than on the street or in a public space. If you have a cat, you may be less likely to use chemical pesticides in your home because your cat will happily hunt down any rodents looking to make a home in your house. But there's another big reason to have a pet. In recent years, there has been a decline in the number of bees, butterflies, and other pollinators. This puts our food supply at risk, since 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat is there because of pollinators. So what does this have to do with pets? Well, animals who eat these insects help to control their populations. Having more animals who consume insects helps increase biodiversity and therefore helps keep our ecosystem healthy. So what kinds of animals am I talking about? For example, birds are excellent insect consumers and they also produce fewer greenhouse gases than most mammals. Even though dogs, cats, and other mammals can have negative impacts on the environment, birds overall are considered to be more eco-friendly. That's why organizations like the American Bird Conservancy exist to help protect birds and their habitats. Even reptiles can play an important role in controlling invasive species. Like imagine if you live in Florida and happen to have a Burmese python as a pet. Well, if that python gets loose, it can help control populations of invasive species like rodents and rabbits. Of course, there are right and wrong ways to do this, so be sure to research the species you want to have as a pet to make sure it won't cause harm if it were to get loose. Also, please don't release pets that are not native to the area, as this can negatively impact local wildlife. Releasing non-native animals is also illegal in many places. In some cases, just having a pet inspires us to get outdoors more often. People who own horses, for example, are less likely to use chemical fertilizers and pesticides because they spread their fertilizer of choice with their back end. Just kidding. But seriously, people who have horses are less likely to use chemical fertilizers and pesticides on their lawn. Some pets also provide us with a renewable source of energy. I've talked about rabbits as a potential renewable source of energy before, but there are also companies looking into the viability of using dogs to help generate energy. There are lots of breeds of dogs who love to run, and they could potentially run on treadmills to generate electricity. How cool is that? Of course, any pet you have will require some resources to take care of them, such as food and water. However, studies have shown that the impact of resource use for a pet is offset by the benefits of having that pet. For example, a study done by the University of Michigan looked at the net environmental impact of a cat or a dog depending on the size of the animal, whether it was spayed or neutered, and how the pet food was made. The results showed that a small, neutered dog or a large neutered cat had a lower impact on the environment than a medium or large dog, while a small, unspayed cat had the highest impact. Overall, the decision of whether or not to have a pet is a personal one, but hopefully you can see that having a pet can be beneficial for the environment in more ways than you might have thought. If you enjoyed this video, please check out my recent video about rabbit overpopulation. Thanks for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something new.